and I welcome to this seminar series of November month, where Chennai Consortium of Consultants and Management System Consortium, we together host this series every year, and we try to bring in some kind of awareness to the topics that we choose. Sometimes they are for information, sometimes they are for creating conversation, as we've been talking to Rama Madam just before initiating this webinar. And sometimes it may lead to developing service quality or standards, and it may lead to development of systems later on, which may help humanity overall. So for today, we are discussing on service quality for airlines and railways. I am your host today. My name is Yogesh Jain. I am Director and Chief Consultant of Niche Quality Solutions. I operate from Indore. I've been into strategy consulting for business development, ISO implementation, that has been a very core area. So since 1998, we have consulted on various standards like 9001, 14001, IAT 16949, food, software security 45001 across multiple industries. Then we've been associated with academia. I was teaching at MTech, School of Future Studies and Planning, which later became data science. I have a lot of industry engagement because of my consulting uh, forte, consulting engagements, and also linked with Indore Management Association in a big way. I have been able to attend a lot of their seminars and still participate in 3 or 4 training programs that they offer me in a year. I have several certifications under my belt for the consulting and to support small and medium scale industries to improve their quality, environment, health and safety, and now sustainability makeup in line with the requirement of the world, so that they become more competitive and are able to develop strength in the market. With me, I have Shri Nagesh Namjoshi Sahab. We have been reading our Hindi newspaper, local newspaper, which have had national acclaim, starting from Nai Duniya, then Dainik Bhaskar, and now Rajasthan Patrika. And in those newspapers, we have been reading about Nagesh Namjoshi Sahab working in railway committees for passenger amenities from my childhood. His name used to figure, say, once a month or twice in a month, and we used to understand what kind of work he might be doing. I have met him just now because of this particular purpose, and I consider myself fortunate enough for that. He has been practicing lawyer since 1972, worked with railway issues since 1977, and he has been assisting Srimati Sumitra Mahajan regarding railway issues throughout her parliamentary career. Later on, she went to become Lok Sabha chairman also, and he has been instrumental in bringing various trains. Just now, we have got an announcement that Indore Manmad rail route, for which there has been something like 3 to 5 decades of waiting, has been there, and people have been struggling to get that route because that will bring a lot of prosperity to this area. Is now sanctioned by central government. He has been member of Session Consultative Committee, Divisional Consultative Committee, Zonal Consultative Committee of Western Railways, and Passenger Amenities Committee at Railway Board between 2016 to 2020. We welcome Nagesh Namjoshi Sahab, and we are sure that his talk will help us understand the subject in a much wider and deeper way. Another speaker that I introduce is Mr. Kapil Naresh. He is a business improvement lead at Emirates Group, Dubai. He hails from India, worked at Gurugram, and then became a Dubai person for last 18 years. He is in Dubai. He has business improvement as his forte, a Six Sigma professional himself, worked on airline services issues for quite some time, and worked on operational readiness through engagement and acceptance of change, building partnerships, identifying challenges, and developing effective and efficient solutions. So with this brief introduction, I will give you an outline. We are going to have around 30 minutes talk by Mr. Nagesh Namjoshi on railway services, which will be then followed by Mr. Kapil Naresh, who is going to give idea about what all count in airline services for passengers and what he has done as a member in Dubai, what can be done in India, and how global standards can be implemented if there are any. If there are none, how we can work on development of those kind of standards. Then we can go into a panel discussion with three of us, with an addition of Rama Gopal, Venugopal Madam, and anyone else who can join us from Chennai Consortium of Consultants and Management System Consortium. And then we close the talk around 4:45 to 5. This is now I ask Namjoshi Sahab to start his talk.
Namaskar. I am Nagesh Namjoshi. This is my first experience of interacting on this screen. I may not be that fluent in speaking, but still I am sharing my experiences as a passenger, a common passenger, and not as an expert.
Sir, 1 second. Sorry for interrupting. Yogesh, can you please stop sharing the screen?
Oh,
Then, sir, will be with you.
Done.
This is better. Yes, thank you. Thank you, sir. Please continue.
As a passenger, when I enter the station, the first interaction with my journey is the parking lot. Then I enter the platform, and the crowded platform, negotiating and finding my coach in a long platform more than half a kilometer long. If I had to change the platform, I had to either take the stairs or the elevators or the escalators. This is far easy for a young passenger, but the old ones, they face all difficulties there. Then again, after entering the coach, finding my berth, getting accommodation, and then searching for my linens, finding the linen, whether it is in proper shape or not, whether it is cleaned or not. And my experience in last so many years, it is seldom that I got a clean linen. So with my contacts, I complained from there and got it. But for general passenger, it is very difficult to get those clean linen. I started with this and inquired the coaching depot officer whose responsibility is to provide linens. There are a number of laundries on Indian Railways, managed by either railways or in privates. But what happens, the quality of detergent used and the quality of machines, it is very deteriorating. Then the question of corruption arises there also. Certain times the passenger don't use both the sheets, and some sheets are as it is kept. While cleaning those sheets are separated and counted in the cleaning numbers, but not cleaned. And the most important factor is the blanket. It is very difficult to find a clean blanket because as per normal standards of the railways, it is either cleaned once in a month. But I am doubtful to that also. And that is not hygienic also. it's always better to carry your own blanket or sheets with you. Though your ticket includes the charges of linen, but for your health safety, you should always depend upon your own. Here lies my first point: why the passenger should not get the clean linen when all the facilities are provided by railways. Why this should happen? So I've tried a number of levels to point out this. There are improvements nowadays. Last 10 years in particular, I had seen vast changes in all these things. I had seen the laundries also, visited the laundries, inspected them also. Number of laundries have been improved with modern machines, modern instruments, along with and regular inspection by these railway officers. This has changed a lot. Particularly, I have last seen when I returned from Australia last August. I was traveling by Delhi Indo train. After finding the linen, I immediately rang the general manager, Northern Railway, and complimented him for providing such clean linen. This is seldom. I was surprised, but the entire coach had the same type of linen. This is something. What is the change is making? Nextly, when long distance trains run, they are managed by on-board housekeeping. A contract is given to the contractor, and their persons attend the coach. A listed number of staff is provided with the supervisor. But what happens? Seldom we find that the coaches are cleaned. They are expected to clean coach in the night and early in the morning. I don't blame the staff only. The passengers are equally to be blamed. When we open the linen packets, we just turn the envelope and throw it away below our seat. All educated passengers do this. Even I saw the railway officer doing this. That was surprising for me. When I cross-checked with him, he said, "What happens? They will come and clean it." But I had a different experience when I was traveling from Tirupati to Indore. I boarded the train at Tirupati. Some 4 or 5 children with old parents, they were traveling to Pandharpur and they were in the compartment. The children, as young, they were eating mumpalis and throwing the rest in the coach. I asked that gentleman that we are to sleep in the night. This would be harmful for us. That gentleman who was not educated collected the entire things, threw it in a basket, and then for the entire period he kept it. Even after he taking their dinner, they cleaned that. This is the difference between an educated man and an uneducated man. He could follow it. But we, having knowledge, we don't care to do that. This is where another thing to be taken into consideration, what we can do on this. There is a train, ISO marked train between Bhopal and Delhi. Initially, when the ISO certificate was issued, it was very nice. But subsequently, these things changed and it was again back to normal. This is where the staff is involved. These things have to be taken into consideration why such things happen. The third aspect is about IRCTC. Booking of tickets. Bulk booking is done by the agents. How they approach is a matter of investigation. Cancellation is another issue. Your refund does not get back as early as possible. These issues were also raised before the board. I took it to the railway board also. Even IRCTC, I visited the IRCTC office also in Barakamba Road, Delhi. One of my friend was director on that. Then these matters were taken up seriously. But this effect remained for a short time. The matter again was the same. So in general, without going much in details, we can find a passenger who is the main user of these services is not bothered about. The situation is now slowly changing. I agree to that. But still, this should have been done much earlier. One of my suggestions to the railway board was that when you make changes, you kindly consult the consumer of those things. What he wants from you. It is not that what you are going to provide. If you are running it commercially, then you should understand the need of a passenger, what he needs about it. I can give you an example, recent example. Certain stations are being taken up for development under Amrut Bharat Yojana or station redevelopment. Indore station is being developed as a special status with a 450 crore rupees. Now, when the engineers came down here and the consultants was there, he gave a design and that design was approved. When we searched it on net, it was an identical design somewhere in Nigeria, some station developed in Nigeria. Exactly the same design was picked up without making any efforts to look at the local requirements of the stations. What can be other benefits that can be drawn out of development? Nothing was done. When I interacted with them, they said, what we could do? The consultant has given it, the board has approved it. Where is the passenger now? What he wanted from the development, nobody asked him. What facilities are required for a passenger at the local level? You can't just make all things standard. There must be some changes locally. What are the conditions there? But nobody bothered to look into it. And now this is approved. This will go on. A 7-story building at the station, having mall and other commercial aspects. When I asked the concerned general manager that kindly let me know a passenger coming from any part of the city, forget about the passengers who had come to Indore and returning back. He is not there at the station for visiting the mall. He will reach the platform 15 minutes before. What is the utility of developing this? They said that it is only a commercial output of the land what we are wasting otherwise. To a certain extent, they were right. But then this should have been distributed in different ways. A station building with 7-story height, providing number of escalators, other facilities is a waste of money otherwise. But nobody is ready to bother about this. Earning and keeping your financial status as railways is their aim. And that is true, there is nothing wrong into it. But then from whom you can collect the money and earn is a passenger. Without passenger, your stations have no meaning of it. So that kindly consult him, kindly try to understand his needs. I'm giving an example of Indore. We have certain platforms located at a distance of nearly 700 meters from the main platform. If the train is starting from that point and the passenger arrives at the main platform, he has to carry his entire luggage till that place. Then when we suggested the minister, when inspecting the station, order for certain facilities to be provided. Just like Delhi airport, where the travelators are there, he asked to provide travelators on Indore stations. So if it had consulted earlier, that this person could not have, nobody bothered about the passengers. The lack of interaction with the passengers is the main reason. I was in the committees from station level to the national level. nobody bothered the recommendations of the committee. Even at the national level, when I was there in 2016 and 2018, I could give you an example to that. As member of the passenger committees, it is highly powered committee of the railway board. We were traveling from Bandra station to inspect Valsad station. We were accompanied by the railway office, divisional railway officers of the Bombay division. We were on the first AC coach of the Paschim Express traveling between Bandra to Amritsar. With my experience, I just entered the washroom and picked the hand wash. It was not working. We asked the concerned onboard housekeeping manager. He said, yes, working. I just said, "Oh, show me how it is working." He could not do that. Then he brought another bottle. That too was not working. Ultimately, we fined him 5,000 rupees then and there. But how long an ordinary passenger could do this? We were powered, officials were with us, we could do it. But if this could happen with a passenger in a AC bus, where even the railway officers were traveling, this could happen. Consider the conditions of the normal passengers. This needs improvement. We already submitted that report to the railway board. Railway board took action, but on ground level, nothing happened. So, if you want to do something in the railways, these things are to be improved. And likewise, the education of the passengers should also go ahead. Now, where we stand and what you can do is a matter of discussion. I can go ahead with number of things ahead, but then I think we should start with basic things. What a passenger, there is a dialogue between passenger and the railways. How this could happen. May I please continue with this.
Sorry,
So the punch key takeaways
sorry.
is ensure dialogue
Oh.
between passenger and railways.
Ah,
I have been using this service while I am going to JSW Raigad, and for that I have to take a flight from Indore to Raipur because train ticket is just not possible even with a 15 days notice. Once I go to Raipur, the train is just not there between Raipur to Raigad. No reservation is possible. There is one train whose time does not match. It's a chair car. In sleeper, for that short distance, Raipur to Raigad of 4 hours, long distance trains do not provide me a reservation ticket, even if they have vacant seats. So if you can board general, fine, though they are very crammed and very busy. But if you board a sleeper or AC chair, AC sleep, AC third or AC second, if the TT is not there on the platform and if you could not ask him, you are liable to get penalized, though you have all the intention to pay the amount of difference if the TT would have been available on the platform. So earlier there was a system wherein people could travel in the daytime in the reservation coach by paying a small amount additional. That system was done away with when it became a sleeper system, sleeper class kind of thing got started. Lot of small passenger related irritants are there. There must be lot of surveys which must be taken. Passenger must be definitely heard. Since earning is from him, since everything revolves around the passenger, as Nagesh sir said, passenger must be consulted on various aspects of any development activity, any improvement activity that railway starts. We have with us Mr. Kapil Naresh, who is an accomplished professional on airline service quality. He has given his 15 plus years into it. We would like to hear from him how that sector works on passenger services, how things have evolved, how things have improved, what needs to be more done. Over to Mr. Kapil Naresh. You can share your PPT yourself, sir. Welcome.
Okay, Yogesh ji, thank you so much. But one request, do you have my PPT? Would you be able to share it on the screen?
I will be able to, no problem.
Can I?
Okay, the reason because I have connected from a different laptop.
Right.
So otherwise I'll have to just download it from the mail.
No, do it. You have Yogesh?
I have, madam.
Yeah, otherwise, I can also
Okay,
share it.
that will be a great help.
Visible?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Perfect.
In
So
mode.
first of all,
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, please.
yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for inviting me to this session. I'm very thankful to Yogesh ji who basically created an opportunity for me. And then it was a great pleasure listening to Nagesh sir because what he was saying was absolutely making sense. The difference which I saw when I joined the airline industry, that how important it is to really take a feedback from the user and at the design stage of the solution itself rather than like when the solution is ready and then it's going to the user. Because I worked in manufacturing sector and I was heading a TQM section in Asahi Glass India, and then we went for a Deming application prize which we won in 2005. And then after that I was very keen to go and learn something more about quality in the service sector, from the manufacturing to service sector. And that was one of the trigger which led me to look for a job in some service sector, and then I fortunately ended up into the Emirates airline in Dubai. So now with the 15 years of experience almost in this sector, I have really understood the importance which the passengers, when we say our user, our key customer is a passenger, is really asking for, and then how we deliver the value. And over a period of 15 years, how it has been evolved for the betterment, and especially after the COVID time. Because what Nagesh sir was saying that it's very important. I remember one of the session we were doing with the airlines to define a solution during the COVID time, that how we can reduce the queue time, because COVID led us to so much of documentation that until unless I have all these documentation, the travel would be very challenging. And the documentation requirement was not only a requirement for the airline, but it was for the country. And each country had a different requirement for a different nationality of a passenger. So we used to have this community session. Then sometimes when the airline community sessions, the airline was not able to join the other airlines when we were doing this airport project. So our CEO used to say that keep the empty chair there and imagine that the customer, the passenger is sitting over here. And then whatever solution you are designing, keep in mind that this chair has to say yes, then only the solution should go, because it was
Very
a
good.
big challenge for us. Yeah, it was a big challenge because Dubai Airport Terminal 1 is very small. The space constraint is there. And during the COVID time, passengers used to come 8 hours early because there was such a confusion that they didn't know which line I have to go, which area I have to go, which counter will open at what time. So they would prefer to reach early, and then social distancing. So a lot of challenges were there. Anyways, so it really like helped us a lot, slowly, and then we overcame all the challenges with the help of technology and all that solution. So in this presentation, I'll try to set up a ground how we in the airline are basically serving the customers. And it's again like a very important foundation to have, so that the new technology and the new interface which we have across different countries, so how it will be basically helpful and how it will create a customer delight. So I'll start with my first slide. uh, Let me start, and next, sir, please. Yeah, this is fine. You have already like introduced me. I'm so thankful. Okay, so here in our airline industry, we always strive to get a customer delight, and we don't use the word customer satisfaction. We use the word customer delight because for us, customer delight is more than customer satisfaction. So this is like a customer is asking for a product or a service, and then if we are able to meet that need, so it's a customer satisfaction. But if we are able to create an emotional memory into it, if we are able to go beyond, which really creates a very excited and emotional memory for the customer, for our passengers. So we say that is what a customer delight is. And a very simple example I'll share with you. So when we go to the airport, we go and stand in the queue for the check-in. So the airline staff is very humble. They are very, the meet and greet is very, very polite, and they will smile and all. So that's something which is a basic need. So which is a basic standard which all the airline staff has to follow. So we call it a satisfaction. But imagine the passenger is now inside the aircraft and the flight has taken off, and in between a crew comes with flowers and with a cake, and because the crew was aware from the records that the couple who's traveling, today is their marriage anniversary, and they give a surprise and they give a celebration opportunity for them in the air. So this is something which creates a delight. This is something when the customer, the basic expectation which has been met, which is in terms of good service, cleanliness, or comfort. But this opportunity is going beyond, which is offering a personalized attention now, creating an emotional connection. So this is what we always strive when it comes to the airline. So we call it a customer delight. So this level of customer care goes far beyond, and what most airline provides, creating a strong bond and an impression of exceptional service, which really helps them in all the aspect of business. Either it is a financial aspect, or it's a customer experience, or a operational indicators, which they are very because they're also very important to meet. So the delight factor is something which is very important, which we always strive in whatever role we are in airport to add into the customer front. Next slide, sir. Yeah. So this is where now coming to the importance of the customer delight in our airlines. So first is the competitive advantage. Now, competitive advantage is something very important, which is we all are striving for, and especially in the very competitive market, which is the airlines. In Dubai airport, there are 150 plus airlines which are operating. So everyone is trying to pull in the passenger because everybody has the destinations, everybody has the routes clear. But then what is the most important thing is the customer delight, which basically is very important. Now, the competitive industry, customer delight leads to the customer loyalty. So that is what is very important for us, and the word of mouth referrals. So if my customer is very happy, customer is delighted from a service, so the customer is gonna become my brand ambassador and gonna tell somebody else also that yeah, I flight Emirates airline and it was very good. They celebrated my anniversary, or they basically gave me something extra which I never have imagined. So this is what creates a very good competitive advantage for us. And the revenue impact is very important here also, because the loyal customers who are gonna spend, who have been regularly spending on the economy class maybe, so because of this emotional, the customer delight, they might think of going and upgrading it to the business class next time, and they might even enroll for the loyalty programs. So that is how we basically get the revenue impact when it comes to the factor from the customer delight. Now, brand reputation again, when the delighted customers become our brand ambassador, they become, people nowadays are sharing their small videos, small reels on on the social media. We, and this is also like if they have bad experience also, it becomes very disastrous. So it helps us to also build a very good and very strong brand reputation. So these are the very important, the deliverables which we try to achieve. But then again, the baseline is how strongly we create a customer delight, which is creating a very strong and very emotional memory. So here, the service quality model, how we look into it is, now if you see the model is talking about five things, the tangibles. Like Nagesar was also like referring that the tangible factors which can create a customer delight. What kind of these factors are? A very clean environment, whether it is a washroom or a walking aisle or a lounge. So these things are very tangible. Now, cleanliness of the airline, the aircraft cabin, the appearance of the flight attendants, the quality of the material, when even if you are sitting and there is a small pillow and the cover of the pillow is neat and clean, so that also is very important, adding value in our customer delight. So these tangible things are also very important, number one. Then is the reliability. Now here we're talking about the ability of the service provider, whether it is any airline, to consistently perform the promised service. Because even if you one of the airline, I remember, I think it was Swiss airline, so their mission was to meet the promises of the customer's customer. So they go beyond that. So that is what is very much like they're saying that my service which I'm consistently providing is dependable, and then you can rely on that. So a flight like that departs on time. Many airlines keep on publishing this, that we are always on time, because this is what the reliability factor is, and consistently delivering the correct service. And it carries small things, like even the meal options. If you have asked for a meal which is a very a vegan meal or a vegetarian meal, and the flight is going to Europe, but keeping that in a very good composition and offering it is also creating a customer delight. There is no harm in, there is no defects in all those kind of service. So that goes into our reliability model. The responsiveness is the willingness and uh, the willingness of and the ability of our all the role players, all the staff, basically to help the customer promptly and immediately to address their needs. Because if you see that the difference in any manufacturing and this kind of industry, which is like airline industry, the need and the requirement of a passenger might immediately come. It cannot be always prejudged. There can be a very small and very simple need, and there can be a big need. Like there can be cases of emergency in the airline when you are in the air and there is a case of some emergency. So how do we handle it? So another simple thing is that I'm not able to fit in my bag because I entered late. So how do I basically put my bag? I don't want to get stressed. So how the staff is basically helping on that. So how these small things or the complex issues are being resolved immediately, that is what responsiveness is. And assurance is where the passenger is assured that the knowledge, the courtesy of the employees who are basically helping me, I have full trust on that. So passengers feeling confident in the expertise of the flight attendants. Like a family, I remember that some examples, like a family traveling with a newborn baby. Now, which aisle they should sit, what kind of services they will get when it comes to taking the best care of the baby. And the flight attendants who are multi-skilled, they are basically demonstrating a very professional experience and professional service. So this is how it keeps on building assurance that, okay, I have a story to tell to my friends now. I traveled at this and this was the best service they did for us. They provided us a very good bassinet, and then other services also. So it creates stories, and then it builds up our assurance also. The last is the empathy, which is more like caring and individualized attention which we give to the customer. Because for us, every customer is a unique customer. We cannot even if we say that there are, let's say, 60% of the seats are economy seats, so we will give a service which is a standard service to all the economy passengers. It cannot be that way. We have to be empathetical to individual, to the groups, to the families. which are traveling who are traveling in the economy class. So very special, let's say an old age couple is traveling. So you might see if in Emirates we have the whole passenger manifesto, so we come to know what is the age group of the passengers and what is the mobility. We have staff where the staff will even see that the passengers mobility is how much. Is it like passenger can walk or passenger cannot walk, so we need a wheelchair. So we have specialized wheelchair which can enter inside the aircraft till the seat, and then we can basically create that experience for the passengers. Then all these things, all these our stories are also shared with our in our training programs also for the staff, so that they can keep an eye on it. So this is how the whole training model also is there in the airline industry when it comes to providing a customer delight. Next slide, sir. Yeah, so there are some examples like on-time performance, like I had already shared, a critical factor in customer satisfaction, because nowadays, because the connectivity is at large, so people try to, like in Dubai, a lot of consultants basically who live in Dubai, so they have to go to Saudi. So they prefer to go in the morning and then come back in the evening immediately. So they don't want to stay there. Now the on-time performance becomes very important for them. So what time the check-in counters will open, at what time the immigration will close, what time the flight will take off. So they have meetings planned there, and accordingly they have to come back also. So this is one of the very strong deliverable which we have to basically do in terms of the airline when it comes to the airline industry. Cleanliness and comfort, again, like the clean cabins. So we have very structured processes. We have all in the tight time controlled factor environment. So because a flight, if it comes, it has to stay on ground for 60 minutes, and then it has to go with the new passenger to the next destination. So how quickly and how without any compromise on the quality we do the cleanings. So what kind of tools are required, what kind of technology is required, and how because scenarios are very different. A flight coming from, let's say, Melbourne, where the food had been given 3 times. Now the quality of that cabin will be very different. So it becomes very challenging now that just a second. So it becomes very challenging now that within the same time, which is, let's say, 20 minutes of time which has been given to the cleaning team, now they have to keep it like clean for this kind of flight which has been like a long distance flight and 3 meals were distributed. So how immediately the team leader will respond to it by adding more staff, by adding more equipment, and do not compromise on that quality, because if they compromise on quality, then the next passenger who is coming to, we just miss out on the customer delight. So it all boils down to how everybody, every role player in the airline, whether it is a loader of a bag or a transporter or a cabin crew, how they all are working together to really create that customer delight, and and through a very structured and a very professional way. So they have to be friendly, which is professionalism. When it comes, they have to be very knowledgeable, because passengers are like, sometimes like passenger will in the airline, they will suddenly ask, okay, I'm coming to Dubai for the first time, so can you suggest me something where I can buy this particular item? Do you know where will I, which area will be the best to stay? Do you know which restaurant will be good to basically go and have this special Arabic food? So the staff has to be knowledgeable. They have to be knowledgeable and ready and friendly to basically help. And this is again like how we build the trust, that assurance that yes, next time also you fly with us and then we will serve you better. These are the very customer and the staff front things, but backside also we have a lot of technological interface. We depend heavily on their technological capabilities, because we have to keep on providing ease. Now we have introduced so many options where the passenger can drop the bag 24 hours early. The passenger can get the check-in, boarding, everything at home itself. So we have a collaboration with one of the company which basically does this part. So they go to the passenger and they basically give the boarding pass at home only. They take the bag and the passenger is even if they want to have a free chauffeur drive, so they can bring the customer on the day of the flight. So it basically works very well, and in the system it is all connected back in the back, like it is all connected to the immigration module, it is connected to the boarding modules. So just passenger keeps on getting the messages, what is the update and all. So it keeps on adding the a lot of things to the assurance that whatever is happening for the customer delight. Next slide, sir. So again, how we have like really delivered it, and then like I said, the personalized service is the best, where basically we have when you book a flight, so you have the options, the fields in the website we offer, where you can put all your preferences, your any other need which is of logistics nature or of any like destination booking and all that stuff. We have partnership with any destination where Emirates is flying, so we have the partnership with the hotels, we have partnership with the parks, which are the like if a family is traveling with kids, we have all this innovative technology even with the banks. So even like if you're flying with Emirates, or some of the local banks are basically offering some good facilities of funding the program. So we have loyalty program, because our whole idea of creating the customer delight is to get that loyalty, so that not only you but everybody else who is around you becomes our fan, and then becomes our loyal customer. So we have a lot of programs which we keep on offering, and then sometimes there are some surprises also. So suppose if you have taken a ticket of economy or a premium economy, but then uh, there is availability of business class or the first class. So crew has been trained that you have to see and you have to observe if there is a family where the old age people are there, so offer them something which is more uh, available, and then which is more beneficial for them. So these kind of there are intangible loyalty programs also. And attention to details, which is again just to re-emphasize that our staff is trained on all the small nuances, where they are able to judge the need when the customer is, they keep on observing, the passenger is looking for something, you will see immediately the crew will come and ask her, how can I help you? So these kind of things we have already like been these are the part and parcel of the developing the customer delight. Next slide. Yeah, these are some examples. Like, see, there are many examples, many good airlines, but some airlines are very specifically evolving on particular subject. Like Emirates, if I talk about their best, is on the entertainment options. So we have IFS system, which is inbuilt flight system. So the amount of the movies, the amount of the games, the amount of the radio channels, this is something which is a competitive advantage for Emirates. Singapore airline is really when it comes to the luxury flying, they are really very good. Their the design of the business class is at a level where the executives who are traveling, so they will find their privacy. If they want to work on, let's say, some laptop, so they will get some personalized cabins. So there are a lot of things which are offered by the different airlines to tap in, uh, but in the end to tap in the customer delight only. Like there are some low cost budgeted airlines also, so which are basically more playing not in terms of like the personalized thing, but more in terms of connectivity, that they're always on time. So their record says that whatever the case, we will always reach the destination on time. So each airline, in within the airline, the segmentation, but they are all designing their offering keeping in mind what is the need of the customer, what is the the desire which my customer wants, how far can I delight that customer, and then just to build a loyalty, so that we can again come back and look at into our revenue growth and our other expansion when it comes to the different sectors we want to get more routes. So it helps us to do that. And a lot of countries basically look at the ratings also, that how good is our rating before introducing a new route to the airline. So it helps us a lot. Okay, next, sir. Yeah, so how do we measure? There are many indicators, but the NPS score, the Net Promoter Score, is the most important for us, which tells us that how strongly you will basically, recommend us to the other airline or to the other airline customer, or because we have some partnerships with the airlines also. So these kind of things help us to see that how good we are performing, where do we need to improve. Then social media monitoring, that becomes very important for us, because customers, the more fan following for us, the more promotions we do. Let's say there is a sports event, so Emirates is going to do a sports event, and they are sponsoring some of the staff, sponsoring some of the some special programs in that whole game. So all these helps us to see that how the society is feeling about us, and how we can basically then again use this insight to go into which customer segment. So if it is, let's say if it is in Dubai, I will just share one example. So during this time now till maybe March, the weather is very good, and a lot of shopping festivals come in. So these shopping festivals basically are attracting not only just the population of Dubai, but it is for the tourists also. So during this time, a lots of tourists are coming, so airlines become more competitive. And then this is all in all, like every stakeholder in the airport will make sure that the customer delight is their factor. Nobody will think of that I have to like just work for money, but the customer delight. So that is the whole theme based improvement which happens. And customer retention metric is again one of the very important thing, because for us, lost customer is not one lost customer. It can be a family which is who have decided now not to travel with us. So we have to be very careful about it. So there are many, just I have shared here few which are very important for us to keep an eye on the customer delight. So challenges also we have, because as I said, firstly, there are many uncontrollable factors, like however strong commitment we have, but weather is not in our control. The any emergency happens on the destination airport, so we can't control that. Last minute flight cancellation happens. A lot of financial impact also is happened if we are not delivering the cargo, or we are not delivering the baggages which are for our premium passengers on time. So there are many uncontrollable factors, but the good side is that the technology which is now coming in the airline is really helping us to keep an eye on that, to keep watching that how the behavior of this uncontrollable factor is. And you will not realize, even in the queue in Dubai airport, even in the queue where you're standing, so there are sensors on the top roof. So somebody sitting in the control room can very clearly measure the rate at which the queue is moving, and they will immediately top up the staff, they will immediately do the combing process, they will immediately take the families out and open a new counter. So all those things which you see happening is all backed up by the factors which we are trying to observe and try to see that might hurt our customer delight. So we continuously keep on trying that all the uncontrollable factors are at least under our watch, and the best time we can basically jump in and then avoid any bottlenecks. Cost and resource constraint. This is, if you remember, like in the beginning, I said Dubai Airport Terminal 1 is very small. It's a very old airport, very small, but it is still capable to handle the worst peaks, just because today we have a very good turnaround of our staff is very well experienced, turnaround of the whole counters, because we have internally built up. Earlier it was a travelator where customer had to walk till the boarding gate, but now we have trains. So whatever possible things we can bring in, we do. But then again, we have to face some resource constraint. So inside the airport, the speed of a kind of equipment is not more than 20 km per hour. You can't go beyond that speed. So if we have to manage the on-time deliveries, and we have to manage within the speed, we cannot go out the speed, and then it becomes sometime during the peak a lot of resource constraint where there's a lot of congestion. So how do we still keep our promises which we have made to the customer, becomes very challenging. So we have to manage a lot about it. Cultural differences a lot, because especially like in a place like Dubai, we have lot of different nationalities. So how do we manage from the customer front? How do Indian staff is creating a kind of customer delight for an Arabic speaking staff? So Arabic speaking passengers, sorry. So all these differences we try to manage at our controlled manner, but sometimes it is not manageable. Sometimes it is very difficult to handle a passenger need, which is because the passenger cannot communicate and the staff is not that much aware of that language. So somehow we try that, but to maintain our customer delight. But yeah, these are the challenges which will always be there and which we'll have to face. Next, sir. Yes, so the future is basically now, like as I said, we are depending a lot on the technology, which is backed up by artificial intelligence and data analytics. We use a lot of data to understand and to predict how our passengers, because for a simple example, again, if I share like the meal plans, so it is not that we, until unless we get the need of a passenger, so we will not be able to create the whole meal plan for the flight. So we have a lot of predicting tools which basically predict that particular in this time, in this season, when the nationalities are of this, or if the age group is this. So this kind of like meal plan we should have. So that's how we are able to always serve the specific unique needs of the passengers. Sustainability and eco-friendly practices, the most important is the fuel, the sustainable fuel, and cutting down the use of water. So the toilets which we have in the aircraft are mostly vacuum controlled, so it is less water and more vacuum. So we are always trying to see that how we can be very efficient in the fuel consumption also, because what is the load we are carrying, and if that load is not required, so instead of that, can we use some other particularly the material, technical materials and all. So we keep an eye on that. And so far, sometimes it becomes very challenging when the new like design of the aircrafts are coming. So they demand to like have a very like variety of items in the business class, variety of items in the economy, sorry, in the premium business class. So the weight of the whole thing increases, and then how do we basically use, because if the weight is more, the fuel has to be consumed more. So we have to always bargain into that. And yeah, the experiential travel also, so more airlines are now becoming like they are providing a lot of amenities. The luxury lounges is one of the key. So these things are gonna come a lot. And then in the future, the most important thing would be, there is a probability that all the documentation will not be required. In Dubai, a lot of things have already happened. So you don't need to, if I am a resident in Dubai, so I don't need to show my passport to the immigration. So I just pass through, then I scan, and then I just move out. So these kind of uh, technological solutions which are going to add a lot of good experience for the customer delight are going to come, and they're coming very fast. After the what do you say, the COVID times, it has come really very fast, the digital experiential programs. Yeah, so that's it from my side. And the bottom line is again that, the end goal in airline is that we have to create a customer delight at any stage, at any phase of the process, at any part of the infrastructure, wherever we are in the airport. The only aim is to create a customer delight, which should basically go beyond and create an experience. Thank you. Over to you, Yogesh ji.
Thanks a lot, sir. It was very descriptive and nice, and you kept on time. And key takeaways, the parameters that you have given for service, that is tangible, reliability, responsiveness, assurance, empathy, and somewhere you also added how to measure those service factors. In fact, each and every slide of yours can be used in many various service related factors, wherein this can be taken as a model case. We have several issues with the airlines that we have been experiencing locally in India. We have low-cost airline whose tickets go much higher than the full-service airline. People don't have concept of full service and low cost, and they don't know the difference. If they know the difference, the airline does not let them know the difference. So a lot of things like that are there. Now I would like to throw this panel open to panel discussion, wherein I will try to moderate between you two, ask Rama madam to join, and have some kind of discussion so that we further understand how can we take this matter little further. Wrap it up now, and as Rama madam told before starting the session, that these conversations should happen, let's say, once in a quarter, so that we start building upon from this point. You have done a lot of work in Dubai, but similar things, if can be done through your support over here, if something can be replicated to railways, probably the ecosystem overall will be benefited. So I invite Rama madam to join us.
Yeah, I'm here, very much here. But before that, Yogeshi, there is one question in the Q&A box from Tilak Kaji. Okay, so maybe we can, this question is to Nagesh ji. Please see the question in the Q&A box. And I request the screen sharing to be stopped, please.
Kindly advise
Sorry,
on.
Kapil ji. Sorry, yes, Kapil ji, thank you. Q&A box.
Kindly advise on how to handle thefts of passenger belongings on night trains. More so when the passenger makes a complaint to both railway police as well as state police and lodging an FIR without any result.
Very difficult situations. Generally, the conductor of the coach is responsible to monitor all these things. Normally, the RPF staffs or the government railway police staff accompanies the coach to their jurisdictions. But despite that, these things happen. Now, launching an FIR is not a concluding thing. The system of police verifications and all these things are still in the old age. They don't hasten up to decide the issues as fast as you can. But now there are certain developments that are going on. I'm giving you an example of Baroda station, where on the platform itself there is a kiosk from where you can directly launch your FIR without going to the police station. Such things should be developed on different stations, particularly on the major routes. The passenger need not go to the police station and waste his time there. He can go to the kiosk, fill the details on the kiosk, and launch it. Then resolving the complaints is a major issue. To best of my knowledge, there are very rare cases where the thefts have been dictated. Nowadays, there is another way to find it out. Of course, not through railway. You have to be in the courts of consumer courts. And the consumer courts are now upon to impose penalties on railways and holding railways responsible. This has been held by the Supreme Court also. But then this is a long process. A passenger is not much interested in doing that, unless and until their belongings are very valuable. So at present, I don't find any shortcut to reduce this.
I think that sufficiently answers the question, not the solution, of course. But yes, we will have to live with it. So I start with the panel discussion, madam. We had a ticker from you about passenger service standards, something we learned from Kapilji, how they have described it in the presentation given by him. Are there any passenger service standards developed by railways which are documented, acted upon, and
To best of my knowledge, nothing is there, excepting a general guideline that passenger comfort should be seen. That is only a general, nothing in specific. As airlines, but I could share my experience with the airlines. My first international travel was in 2022 when I traveled from Delhi to Sydney to my daughter. I was going by an Air India flight, which is non-stop flight from Delhi to Sydney. I entered the airport, check-in counter. I was not going which counter is dealing with the Sydney flight. The gentle lady who was available there. She guided me very nicely. She guided me to the counter. She managed and straight access to the counter for me. I was traveling with my wife. The gentleman at the counter was fighting with a passenger who had booked a particular seat by paying extra, and his seats were changed. And that took nearly 40 minutes, and we were standing. Ultimately, I had to shout, "Look, I am at the age of 77. My wife is 75. We are standing here for last 40 minutes. If your services are responsible, why should we be punished?" Then he asked the counter person to help me. And I had booked a wheelchair for my wife. But nobody, till my boarding passenger board, nobody attended it. And in the reverse direction, this time when 2024 I traveled from Delhi to Sydney, my travel was by Singapore Airlines, Delhi, Singapore and Singapore, Sydney. The entire picture was different. The moment I entered the counter, the lady said, "Me, my sister, and my wife." She weighed the luggage. She said that you keep all the luggage and go free-handed so that you can move at the Singapore airport where you have to wait for 2 or 3 hours. She helped me there. Immediately, wheelchair was made available. We passed through easily. It was the first experience. Then at Singapore airport also, it was all very nicely handled. The gentleman who took the wheelchair asked my wife whether you can walk down in the aircraft. He said, "Yes, I can walk down." He said that otherwise I will stay here and take you to the entire picture is different than my first experience with Air India. Of course, that time Air India was taken over by the Tata 3 months ago only. The changes didn't happen. Then again, at the point of services in the aircraft, the row in which I was sitting in Air India, the entire row screens were all non-operative. A flight for 12 hours, non-stop flight for 12 hours, without any entertainment on board. Then the diet that was given to us, we had booked a vegetarian diet. The servers were very nice. Co-passenger with me, he was just throwing that dish. Then I ordered him that you serve me only one dish. If I find it perfect, I will ask for the second one. Otherwise, I will not like to waste my country's food. There are hundreds of people sleeping hungry. Then throughout my journey, that server repeatedly asked me what I can do for you. Or you want to have any other things? But then this was a positive experience. But this time, while returning from Sydney, I also traveled by the Singapore Airlines with the changeover at Singapore. My experience was outstanding. Why this difference? This should not happen with the airlines. At least minimum required things should be followed. If a passenger book a wheelchair and is not given that, I will get that experience again. When I was returning from Sydney, I had booked a wheelchair. When I went to the check-in counter, he said that we don't have any message. Then I showed him the mail. Within moments, wheelchair was made available. and we passed through easily. This didn't happen at Delhi airport with Air India earlier. I shouted, did everything, but nobody turned up. This should not happen in the services, but now, fortunately, with the competition growing up, and Tata have now changed up Air India a lot. I hope these services would change. I am not comparing it with Emirates at high quality.
No, you are absolutely right, sir. Absolutely right. I also hope that these good experiences become benchmark for the others to really like improve.
I don't know whether
So
I
yeah.
will travel next time in any international destination, but still, my experience
Yeah.
with Singapore Airlines, I will never forget.
I understand.
This is what way you say that we are brand ambassadors.
Yeah.
Is there any Indian airline calling you or touching you or contacting you for developing their systems of service improvement? Has there been
Mhm.
any networking on this aspect, airline to airline? Is there
Yes.
any experience on that?
Yeah, sir. Before COVID or just I think during 2018, so Indigo Airline contacted us. So Indigo Airline wanted to improve their turnaround process. So because I think in the local market in India, so they are saying that within maybe 30 minutes or 25 minutes, so they can turn around the flight. But international flights which are coming to Dubai, so they were not able to do that. And they basically, because we have experience of improving turnaround time for other airlines, like there was one Wizz airline which was a new entry in Dubai, so we introduced some good processes which helped us to turn around in 30 minutes. So Indigo we helped. And I remember that the key factor which was delaying the flight was because of the policy issues. So what they were doing is their policy was that if the hand baggage is more than 7 kg at the counter, so they will have to, the passenger has to pay per kg. Now they will not tell passenger beforehand when the passenger was waiting at the boarding gate that there is a weighing scale, go and just check or adjust the weight, because not everybody is interested to pay. So some people are ready to leave the items, and at the time of boarding suddenly the weighing scale would come and suddenly they will start waiting. So airline thought that we will put pressure on the passengers to pay because it's going to take off now. But then if there are so many passengers who are not ready to pay, so now flight also cannot go. So
Yeah.
that was a very big challenge now, that I want to focus on the revenue side, but I am compromising on the customer delight side. So we highlighted that your key change in the policy should happen. You should not do this, and the things can be streamlined. And we did that. So we said that now passengers come to the boarding gate 1 hour early. So you give them a chance. You create that empathy with them, because most of the passengers are not aware that what is the weighing the protocol of weights. So sometimes they will say like one bag and one laptop, sometimes say no, only everything in one, 7 kg only. So these things should be made clear, very clear to the passengers. So that was one of the experience.
Your take?
Yeah. I think sir is Kapilji is yet to complete.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm done.
Right. This is what I was trying to mention. Some kind of a framework or a simple guidelines on various parameters are
Hmm.
needed. As I was mentioning, it was easy to get into railways portals, and then at least they have something called patient charter, patient rights. At least we could read something. So to go through this DGCA portal and then try to get all this, many things have got to be in the public domain also. And we do have
Hmm.
at least railways, not many private this thing, but airlines we do have, and they're listed companies also. What do we find in the public domain is penalties, penalties, penalties
Yeah.
paid by them for service lapses, right?
Hmm.
Now, the issue here is, as you said, simple, low hanging fruits. Somewhere we need to have that, this thing. our list is very long. As I said, one day session will not be sufficient. Somewhere there was a mention about Yogesh ji said low class, airlines. So, or I would say that low cost airlines. Okay. Does it mean that low cost doesn't need quality? Does it mean that they don't require a basic service standard? See, the socio-economic profiles of the people who travel by flights and who travel by trains are little different. Sometimes it is vastly different also. So how do you define a kind of a standard framework when your customer segment belongs to various socio-economic backgrounds? That's another aspect. But then today, even with the introduction of this Udan schemes and airports in tier 2, tier 3 markets, we are finding, better how many of this workers class, blue collar workers travel by air to Middle East markets and various other
Yeah.
markets. They are also traveling by the same flight only, not by business class and economy class. Are we having a separate flights for the BPL families? No. So this kind of a scenario, and then first of all, there has to be some framework. Then how do we go in the regional language and all those things are a little different. We have a list of questions as we move along, Yogeshi. One by one, we can touch upon those.
Yeah, so I also had a paper
Some
I
framework.
read in 1997 between, it was a Harvard Business Review paper wherein there was a discussion on low cost and full service airline and how, if you mix the strategy, how Southwest Airline was emulated by Pan Am and Pan Am Light was designed, but the whole venture had to call off because you cannot have two strategy working together under the same set of teams, and it became a fiasco. So Kapil, you must be knowing that we had a similar
Yeah.
experience when Delta was taken over by Kingfisher and made Kingfisher Light. And there and then in 2005 or 6 itself, I thought, whoever must be the consultant to Kingfisher, did they not read the paper of Harvard, an experience which is available in public domain something like 7, 8 years ago, and they have faced the fiasco already, and still this experiment is being planned and played out, and they made the same fate. Kingfisher had to go down the drain, and nationally also, Kingfisher had to take a big blot on the reputation side, on the personal side, on every which way. They lost in a big way. Now,
So
second
many
question
services.
that
Many
we have
services. Yeah.
on our this thing is, what are the top 10 grievances often related to issues on the railways as well as airlines front? I will start with Nagesh sir. Some he has listed already. Some more he can throw light upon. It can be brief or it can be detailed as he chooses.
Major issue with railway is the availability of berths are for reserved class and general coaches for general public. This has been now addressed. General coaches have been increased. Number of general coaches have been added to all the trains, and by end of this month, there is a possibility that virtually every train will have minimum 4 general coaches. Again, now the trend of passengers is shifting to air conditioned. So the railways, of course, for railways, AC 3 tier is the most earning coach. So they have started reducing the sleeper classes and adding AC 3 tier coaches plus AC 3 tier economy to generate revenue also and giving convenience to the passengers also. This is happening. Then number of passenger coaches with the new brand LHB coaches, Linkman Happen Bosch coach, which has a larger capacity with the ICF coaches, have been introduced virtually on every sectors. This added the number of passengers flying on the train. The other issue with the passenger is refund of cancellations. Online refund is very difficult. It takes 2 to 3 days, minimum 2 to 3 days, and that too if it is properly done. The banks are not properly attached with the IRTTC staff working there. is not that vigilant. This is happening. And the third, I find it is with the agents collaborating with the IITs. Majority of booking you will find that it is already done while general passenger does not get booked. If you approach a agent, you may get the confirmed ticket. I had that experience. I purposely went to a counter and asked for booking. He said it is not available. The gentleman was not doing my authority. Then I entered the office itself and asked the reservation supervisor to kindly open that train. It was available. That time, these online things were not there. And I asked the concerned clerk. Then it came out that the agents had already blocked it and asked that counter clerk to keep it aside. These things are happening in online booking also nowadays. When I again inquired at the Bombay VT, and then Jansatta reported it also, they sent certain reporters to the counters. They were given waiting tickets. They went to the agent, they were given confirmed tickets. Then they tried to investigate into it and found that the agent had the access to the reservation. They had the code by which they could access the one. And this is what is happening with the passenger. Of course, the passenger is at loss. More to the agent than if they had booked directly. This is happening and it's still happening. This has to be reduced. There must be certain system which could control all these things. Fourthly, as I told earlier, the linen part of it, it's a shabby things. Virtually, all these years, only 2 or 3 times that I could get a decent linen, washed, well washed. Then the blanket should be replaced. Central Railway had tried once to replace it with shawls, but they made this head situation. They were not washed up. So, looking to the health of the passenger, this should not be done. Certain times, all undried linen was packed in. Generally, the packet is written over with handkerchief, two sheets, a blanket. But we never find a handkerchief with it or the towel with it. Every time I had to ask the attendant to provide it. Their answers were proper. They said that, sir, the passengers take away the towels and we have to account for it and it costs 40 rupees for us. Hence, we don't provide it. Only when you ask for it, then we provide it. This is to be sorted out.
Interestingly,
issues
some
in
of these
airlines?
points are.
So you have moved from satisfaction to delight, but still there must be a lot of grievances on the meal
Yes,
part.
yes, sir. There are many. See, the passenger, when he or she comes to the airport, they come with a bag. And then we take their bag and we tell them that wherever you land, we'll reconnect your bag. So the first grievance I would start with is that reconnection of the baggages. Now, reconnection should be accurate, should be without any damage, and should be so timely that the passenger is not, feeling that, my bag is not here and where is my bag? That insecurity comes in. Once I was jokingly telling my friend observing a flight that we should always measure the blood pressure of a person entering the airport and then exiting the airport. We should see how
Very
much
good.
how much change it happens, because the biggest thing when the passenger enters the airport and the passenger is late, he gets too much pressurized with the long queue. Now
Yes.
he doesn't know that if at the last moment my baggage will have 3 kg extra, so will the staff accept it, will not accept it, what will I do? Where will I take the extra luggage? Will I throw out? And then what will I throw out? I will not have time. They will tell me to close the flight. So all these pressure, I have seen that adds to a grievance of a passenger. So I think this is something we should do, that which generally have seen British Airways does a quite well. So they immediately, like, open new counters, so that they pay for the
Very good.
counters, but they pay for the counters, because the number of counters as per the service level agreements they get, but they are ready to pay extra, but they don't want their passengers to get stressed even if they're joining in the last minute. And then
Great.
the baggages, they will make sure that the baggages, sometime what happens, the size of the baggage is not the right standard size. So they will make sure that these baggages are taken from a different route, and these are all connected to the aircraft well on time, and then the same way it is reconnected when the passenger is out. So some airlines are always doing this extra so that the grievances of the baggages is not there. But there are many other grievances, like I when I as a passenger enter into the airport. So what is my core? My core is that if I am coming early, I want to check in early so that I can spend time in the duty free. This is one segment of the passengers. And nowadays, because the airports are also becoming like malls, you know, so
Actually,
the passengers are starting their journey thinking that, okay, we will have a pizza there, we'll have a lunch there, we'll have a nice coffee there in the airport. We'll just do
for window
everything and then
shopping
we'll
or
sit.
going for a
Correct,
brand of
correct.
perfume.
Branded things we will explore. But then when they enter, and like Nagesar was saying, that 4 hours the check-in agent was fighting with the passenger. Now these things are adding grievance, because you are so much into unpredictability. You don't know at which stage I will become stuck, and then my whole dream is gone. So ideally, I think these kind of cases are very rare actually, but 40 minutes of dealing with one passenger is not at all as per the standard. And like I said, in Dubai we have the sensors which immediately captures the movement, is there is no movement of the passenger queue line, or it is very slow, so immediately top ups happen. Even Dubai airport authority people start questioning that why to the airlines, that why you are not moving, because their rating goes down. So it is all so well connected.
Very
Another
good.
grievance, sir, inside the aircraft is mostly like the cleanliness, the cleanliness and the services. Like again, I will refer Nagesh sir's point that the TV was not working, right? Now these things are all the desires, the needs. When I'm buying a ticket, I'm already visualizing that I'm in the aircraft. I'll be having a nice meal, and I'll be for watching this nice movie, because I don't get time otherwise. So I'll have a nice headphone, the quality of headphone. So what we do in the Emirates is, this is again to create that delight. We will give you the headphone which is not new, which is all cleaned, but again packed in the polythene and sealed. So when we give it to the customer opens it, that delight comes. Oh, it's a new one, I'm opening and I'm using it. Whereas it is all cleaned and everything. But if you see, there are other airlines where
But
it
the one
is
I
all
used in
like
United
this.
Airlines, it started paining my ears.
Yeah.
And the tray
So
tables, my wife used to comment, must be dirtier than the toilet seat. Because
exactly, they don't clean.
sometimes even diapers are changed on that and they are not cleaned after every flight.
You will not
The
believe I
pockets.
didn't use the washroom for 12 hours
Oh my
on Air
God.
India looking to the status of that washroom.
You're right. This is very bad experience. So these kind of like cleanliness, and then serving the food on time, and then even for blanket. So in airline, like the temperature, the whole pressure is all manufactured pressure in that tube when you are in the air. So you feel little dry. So sometimes I have seen if somebody is coughing, so the Emirates airline staff will say, sir, you are coughing, do you want a warm water? I would prefer you I will prepare nice tea for you, chamomile tea rather than coffee, because it will make it more dry. So they are being trained on that, so
Very
that
good.
they always, every touch point, they basically create a delight factor. But on the other side, I have seen at every touch point there are grievances also if you are not handling it properly. Yeah.
Something to add, madam?
I just wanted to see that is what it is. Delight happens when satisfaction, after satisfaction. Okay, that is a very
Right.
high maturity score. Today we are fighting with basics actually. Where the focus is actually get the satisfaction levels be there. Whether it is high or low, it's a different one. Delight, we have a long way to go because process improvements happens through people skilling, people training in services. Though there is
Yeah.
an automation, whatever is the level of automation, uh, when a domestic player is going global, a lot of training is required. When there is a new entrant in the market, even in the domestic space, new applicant getting into this license to operate, it requires a lot of training. So skilling matters, continuous skilling matters.
Correct.
Today, if you honestly ask us, whatever we are asking is very, very basic.
Hmm.
I don't get a water when I board a flight and my
Hmm.
throat becomes so dry.
Hmm.
I just cannot accept it. But when I get into
Right.
railways, I seamlessly, like a machine, automation, somebody comes, just drops the water bottle on your
Hmm.
chair and goes. Water is the very basic requirement. I don't get it in the airlines. I have to,
Hmm.
I get boarded, I ask, and then after all the sales pitch over, campaign over, where they, all those, some certain things are being served. Okay, it's now nothing is provided. We don't ask for freebies all the time. What I'm trying to say is that customer is
Yeah.
asking,
Basic. Hmm.
basic, I need water. Wait, we will complete all
Hmm.
this and will come. And towards the end of your journey, you just get that small cup of water. So the basics are missing. We're not talking about
Hmm.
very high
Hmm.
end. I'm not asking you to create high end digital technologies.
Hmm.
And even I don't even know when I get down, when I'll get my luggage.
Hmm.
I book something through Porter, through Dunzo in India. Somebody comes home, picks up my parcel, it gets delivered.
Hmm.
I track the moment. I
Hmm.
need not call anybody. I just track the moment it's delivered. Ding, I get a
Correct.
message. No, I don't. Why don't I get that in my luggage? In Airways, you have technologies. You have so much of digitization is available. Just
Hmm.
introduce systems. Why will I ask you? I know that yes, it's going to take me 45 minutes to get my luggage. Let me go and sit. No, let me go and sit quietly in a corner. I'm okay with
Yeah.
that. Why do you make me stand in near that belt for hours and hours? Okay, are we asking for any such? It's very very basic things. The basics are not in
Hmm.
place. So I. I would say we are not even ready to talk about a delight because we've not reached that business maturity. Maybe as Singapore Airlines, Emirates Airlines, you can talk about it because your customer experiences say so. In spite of all
Hmm.
this, market should have competition. Market should have a long list of grievances. Then only the improvements will happen. When there is no
Exactly.
competition, when there is a monopoly in the market, when there
Hmm.
is no competition. So you are a passenger. You cannot ask me questions kind of an
Hmm.
attitude. We'll only end up in shutting down the show one day. That's it. Please continue, Yogeshi.
There are silver linings, madam. When we travel by train and people have been tweeting on complaints, some bad behavior they have been seeing on co-passenger female travelers, and yes, policeman GRP comes, PT comes. Those things have been a very welcome change. Issues of boarding a wrong berth by an unauthorized person is also when tweeted to a railway board or railway ministry. Somebody comes in a jiffy. So those things are really, really very, very impressive. Earlier there was no voice. Now the voice is there in the form of, if you tweet, if you are able to bring some attention to the top people, something will happen. Even if some TT takes a cash of 200, if it is reported, some kind of proof is there in some kind of voice message, the TT is probably taken off the board there and then, and somebody else is put on the those things. So things are definitely changing, but lot has to be done. And I am asking again, Nagesh sir, is there any systematic way of doing it, and how it can be done, where we as a management system consultant group can help how we can find a tow where it can be taken, provided our service, or we learn out of this and then give a solution. Parallelly, I would ask Nagesh, Kapilji, that you have such a vast experience and you have been working in India also. You must be coming once or twice
Yogesh
to India also.
ji, one second. Yogesh ji, Kapil ji is actually not in a seat. Maybe we'll just wait.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we will hear to Nagesh ji first, and then we will ask Kapilji.
We can help railways to sort out certain things. One is how to manage with the rush at the railway station, the entry restrictions, and the facilities at the platform, how it should be developed. Basically, a passenger on train does not come much earlier, for 4 or 5 hours like airline, because there is no check-in and the removal of the luggages and security checkups. But still, he is there at least half an hour earlier. This is minimum what I am saying. And then this rush plus the persons accompanying him to see him off make this platform unmovable. Plus then now the coolies, battery cars moving on the platform and the trolleys, this jumble of this should be sorted out. Passengers should easily approach his coach without any hassle.
Something like 4 trains passenger must be there on platform every time.
Now this is being under planning of the railways. What I was saying about Indore railway station, redevelopment of Indore station. Now basically the railway is planning that passengers will be moving to the malls or the shopping area, and only half an hour before they would come to the platform. Not before that. When the train is placed, then only the passenger could enter the platform. Otherwise, he can enjoy the shopping arcade or sit there. This is one of the way to reduce the platform congestion. Then the services available on the platforms, how it could be managed, the escalators, the lifts. What happens? The coolies entangle with the maintenance staff and get the escalators or the elevators non-working
Non-workable.
to earn their earnings. They are also right. They are engaged for that purpose. What will we do for these purposes? Battery cars. Initially, battery cars were used. Certain drivers took the passenger on the line instead of the platform. These services could be provided through the coolies itself. If they are given these chances, their earning will remain and they can move the passengers easily. This is one of a casual suggestion that I am giving it. Then onboard services. Onboard services are only provided on long distance trains. Overnight trains don't have onboard services. But the passenger traveling on overnight services also get linen. To provide linen, whether it is a good quality or a bad quality, nobody is there to bother about it. This should be sorted out.
So, Madam has been talking about, is there a possibility of developing a charter, or is there a passenger charter already in place?
Basic framework or kind of a standards. Maybe we can even put a request to, as I said, Bureau of Indian Standards. We develop a lot of standards also. Maybe Bureau of Indian Standards, through that, whether we in some framework, some guidance document for railways to follow, and there's some kind of a charter for the public, because at the end of the day, the standards are being developed.
Equally important.
Yes, a standard is being developed, keeping communities' welfare in mind always. That is the objective of creating the standards. So we all can contribute from our forum. That is fine. At the end of the day, each one of us is a consumer, whether it is road transportation, rail, or even as simple as our cabs aggregators today. In fact, we have not included all of them in the conversation, but every modality has got pain points in urban scenarios. Aggregators that we have in abundance in the country. I do not know about Middle East whether you have Ubers and Ola operating there, but here it is. So each mode of this thing has got its own pain points. Some kind of a framework can be developed if there is an opportunity given. We will also make a request to Bureau of Indian Standards, and where all of us can contribute to develop. It's again, it's a kind of a nation building exercise. We are also trying to contribute towards a nation building exercise. Problem statements are plenty. Explosive growth in the airlines in the last 10 years in the country. Crazy numbers. Crazy. And they have now, every operator is saying it is this volume which is choking us. We are unable to deliver.
One of my pain area, Kapilji, is, for example, if I go for a flight to Raipur, sometimes it costs two-way 22,000 rupees. And flying to Delhi sometimes is cheaper. Hopping for Raipur from Ranchi is also cheaper than direct flight. My wife booked a ticket for USA 1 month before through United, and her ticket costed 1,18,000. For me, when it came to something like 3 weeks earlier, the cost went to 1,48,000. So somewhere customer feels shortchanged, wherein some kind of fleecing it looks like. Now the role of regulator comes into picture, wherein some kind of DGCA or aviation ministry or some regulator should come into picture and understand the plight of the customer, that a price band be allowed under which they can play. They cannot go 3 times, 4 times, and they cannot fleece the customer with the costing regime that they have. And in the garb of demand supply situation, they extract as much as they can. Somewhere we will have to think on those areas also. I think internationally,
Totally agree, sir.
Pricing regulation is a totally different topic. Your pricing standards is a different topic. Here we are only trying to figure out operational standards. I fully agree. That's what as I said, but it's the pricing regulation is totally a different topic altogether.
So, madam, we are on the fag end of it. I would like
one suggestion I would be giving to Mr. Yogesh is raised that he had a ticket and he could not board the train. I will always advise that in such a situation where you don't have a reservation, purchase only a platform ticket and then board any class.
Okay.
Then the conductor will only prepare a ticket authenticating you that you had boarded the train on such and such platform. So that having a second class ticket and boarding AC 3 tier invites you a fine.
Okay.
You can avoid that. This is a trick, of course.
Great. So we are at the fag end of it, madam. I would like concluding remarks. Nagesh, I start with you now.
No, Kapilji, Yogesh, Kapilji was not available.
Yes, ma'am.
We will just take his views also. Then we will do.
Sure, ma'am.
Just take his. You were asking, raising this particular point. I just wanted to, if you can just give me 1 sec.
Yes, Kapilji.
Just no, the questions that we have to. Basically, I just wanted to know something about hygiene standards. Also, is there a need? Because again, the discussion airlines is slightly different, in railways there are case studies here that we were talking about, particular case studies, linen and all that. There were issues in the case of airlines also. The responsiveness indicators like your TAT or responsiveness for any of those
turnaround
issues,
time,
turnaround time is maybe one of this thing. So kind of a responsiveness has to be inbuilt into your service standards framework, and
absolutely.
maybe a little more focus on hygiene standards because it's a public health issue, especially
absolutely.
after COVID. So whether having witnessed such a large pandemic of that nature, whether all your frameworks or guidance documents have inbuilt that hygiene
Yeah.
standards, very high focus on hygiene standards, whether at least that is built in now, even after COVID, or whether it is not there. We just
No,
wanted
it
to check.
was, yeah. So first of all, the regulatory body for us is IATA, and the
Mm,
IATA basically creates the whole guidelines, standard guidelines,
mm, mm,
and then we have one of the guideline book which
mm,
is standard guideline. We call it
mm,
IGOM,
mm,
so which is the ground operations manual.
mm.
So that manual is so vast, it tells everything about if I have to clean a galley. This is all was after the pre-COVID, oh sorry, after the COVID times. So it tells that if I have to wipe the the galley where the whole food is prepared and all that in the aircraft, what kind of solution should I use, what kind of clothes should I use, what kind of like the before and after checkpoints, pictorial things which I should use. So all these guidelines were created. Now again, the challenge is that which airline is following and which is not,
Absolutely.
because that is the adherence to the standards. Now, and because when the COVID was over, so slowly the airline was coming up. Now the biggest challenge for the airline was revenue, because the regulations were that okay, you can't take the 100% passengers in the aircraft. You have to have
Right.
minimum 85%
Ah,
or 60%. So that was the case where everybody was increasing the price, because there was anyways there is no regulation on the price, and they were
yes.
increasing price because they wanted to just give an opportunity to the people to travel. And there was a term that time they used was revenge traveling, revenge flying. So you just take a revenge. I
Yes.
want 1 lakh ticket, I'll pay 1 lakh ticket, I just want to get out of this country. So that kind of, and they made benefit out of it. They made money. But when it comes to the hygiene standards and other kind of, because not only human hygiene, at that time it was not clear that whether it can be transferred from a baggage. So baggage were also required
Right.
to be sanitized. So the
Yes.
standards were made for that. But again, when it comes to the adherence to the standards, that again responsibility comes to the airline. How much resource they invest in, how much assurance they give to the passengers that we are adhering to these standards. And most of the time, airlines will never show that these are my standards, which I am like
Absolutely.
following, because there are lots and lots of standard requirements.
Many
So
of
they
this,
kind of,
yeah, please. Sorry.
no, I was saying there is always a gap in the adherence, and then some airlines have departments of compliance where they go and do the audits and comply, and they keep on improving, but not 100%, I would say.
Are we trying to say that organizations like IATA, okay, they have given you maybe
Hmm.
standards and frameworks? Who's your surveillance authority? Then somebody has to check. Standards
Yeah,
development
so
team
we
cannot do the surveillance part.
correct. So
Regulators can't do
we
it.
have another arm of IATA, which basically they give us a certification like same ISO.
Mm,
So they have auditors, so they come and do they are very expert in airline industry. So
okay.
they know every operations technically also.
Mm,
And little bit of part is of the quality management system, the health management system. So they basically do the audits of that. That is how we basically then say that I am a IATA certified airline. So
okay.
yeah, so these are the same like ISO 9001. They also follow the same protocol.
You made a mention about airports
Hmm.
getting being rated. So you have the rating of
Yeah.
airports there in those markets? I don't remember seeing something like that here. I don't know whether
See,
it's
there
available
is.
in India.
I don't remember exactly the name of that
Okay.
organization, but this organization is basically rating the airports across
Okay.
the world. So that's
Help me
how,
out.
like it comes that Dubai is one of the in one of the top 10 or one of the top
Right.
50. So they check every element, but not
Mm.
the airline only. They look at the everything, like the
Overall, right.
facilities, the
Yes.
immigration,
Yes.
the infrastructure. So all those things they cover. These are also based on audits. They come and do a annual audit, and then they do a scoring.
I don't know whether I picked it up from your presentation. Actually, I was just away from my
Hmm.
seat for a while. Do you do use that Net Promoter Score also as one of the tools for
Yeah,
measuring customer satisfaction? You use NPS?
yeah. We have many. So
Mm.
NPS is basically more like when you are about to kind of like the aircraft is landing.
Ah.
So in Emirates, like there will be a question and the smileys
Oh,
come.
okay.
So
So you know that's it. Either way, at least
that is
you're doing measuring that.
this is very common in Dubai, I would say,
Mm,
because any restaurant you go, any government office you
mm,
go, so there is all like panels there, so you have to give a rating.
right.
And even online, if I'm paying my
Yeah.
electricity bill, so in the end of the transaction, the whole NPS thing comes in,
Yeah. It is. It
because
is
they
there.
have a happiness indicator as a whole. Dubai is like monitoring the happiness of the people. They call it happiness indicator.
It is
So
captured here also. It is done. I just
uh,
wanted to check as it is part of your service standard whether you have actually
yeah, 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 yeah,
connected it, integrated it. That's all it is
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
that is one of the most powerful tool even for your loyalty programs. Uh,
exactly.
maybe railways also can do it. Actually, comparative notes,
See,
looking
in
at profile of
airlines,
both.
yeah, the data is very strong. I know which seat, who was sitting, what was the nationality, how many times he
Mm.
traveled, and I can even see when he was in 10 days in Dubai, which all areas he went there, what kind of shopping he did. I have hell lot of data.
Oh,
Great,
amazing.
great, great.
I hope Data
So I
Privacy
can,
Act is in place.
and exactly. So I can
This is
even
this
prompt.
is this is this is infringement of privacy.
Privacy infringement it goes to.
No, I was asking, I'm surprised. No, I'm just
No,
asking.
no,
Country must
My
be having data
I'm telling you
privacy
the
laws.
model.
my
I'm,
professional attitude came out.
Yes, yes, yes.
Good. Anyhow,
yeah.
that's all it is from my side. I only wanted to say that, somehow we feel that you're just a passenger and you have no right to
Hmm,
question us or ask us kind of an attitude. That arrogance is felt in airline
hmm,
travels. Railways, not that much. I would say that railways, in spite
hmm,
of the challenges, they're more grounded. Yes, as passengers, even our behavior also may be wrong, but then it's we are humans at the end of the day,
hmm,
and
hmm,
we are subject to a lot of kind of a torture, I would say that and a lack of systems and all that. Taking our time for granted for us and us, something which is not at
hmm,
all
hmm,
acceptable. Okay, and
yeah.
cancellations are ruthless, no accountability, nobody responds,
Hmm,
and the kind of money that we have to pump in for
hmm,
travel at a short notice, then nobody accountability is not there at all in the industry,
yeah.
especially in the airlines industry.
Hmm.
So that attitude training, people training is needed. Kind of stories that we have been watching in the
Yeah.
media, with your ground level staff mishandling people and all that. We don't know whether it's only in India or it's many things are global, but
No, no, it
maybe.
happens. See,
Uh, uh,
the whole business model is very operating model. Let me say that way is very
mhm.
complex,
Okay.
because like now the staff is in pressure that you have to deliver it on time. Like for example, if I'm saying the plane is about to chocks have to be removed at 12 o'clock, and I have to close the cargo door by 11:45, so the team leader there, ramp operations team leader, so he is in pressure to close it by putting everything in on time, but the driver has not reached there with all the last minute baggages, right? So maybe they'll keep a very smiley face, but deep inside they're boiling because they're in too much pressure.
So
So
much of
it's a very
smileys.
complex profile where they have to handle the pressure also, and they have to deliver it, and they have to keep calm. It comes over a maturity, and I have seen this because a lot of grievances when it comes from our staff. So when we categorize into the age group and the experience group, so we generally see that the youngsters especially, they sometimes are not able to bear this pressure. It happens. So you're right, it is how far you try your best, like, but still some kind of grievances, and then we keep on from our perspective what we do, the resourcing, the rostering. In our airport there are 150 types of rosters.
Yes.
It is not just two shifts, that I come at 9, go at 5, and then 5 another shift will come. There are 100 plus rosters, types of rosters. These are all to just manage the fatigue and all those factors, so that we don't overload people. The more they overburn, the disaster will happen,
Right.
because it's all the game of hospitality.
You can't longer
Yeah,
schedules, longer shifts,
yeah, yeah, night
continuously.
shifts. Yeah,
I
yeah,
understand. Maybe conversations like this also help us to understand the challenges
right,
on the other side. We don't get to know any of this,
exactly.
and consumers are pampered so much on a
Hmm.
daily basis. And so, as customers, we are being pampered. As consumers, we are being pampered. Sometimes, maybe we may be very demanding. Also, we do not know, but we need
Yeah,
to
yeah. This
understand the
this is also there. Yeah,
other side of
yeah.
the story. And generally, we feel and we want to know that your internal operational systems, your service standards,
Hmm.
quality standards are well defined. Anything beyond the
Yeah.
IATA's definition, you go on building your own structures or you stick to
We
that as
have
a compliance.
no, no, that is just one part. Other than that, we have the airlines requirements. So suppose
Hmm.
if 150 types of airlines, Swiss Air is coming, they will have absolutely different standards for us to follow. Now the
Oh,
staff, who is
oh.
like the check-in counter staff. Now we
Hmm.
can't say that this staff will only handle the Emirates or this staff will only handle the British Airways or the Hong Kong or the Pacific. We mix them. So to mix them, we need to train them well. Then the only
Hmm.
difference is that you might see, I saw this staff at the British Airways, but then you will say, oh, I saw that staff in Emirates also.
Oh, right. Okay. I mean, we
So
didn't know this.
we
Okay.
have to deal with all that. So like
Right.
it is
Quite
not that
complex.
easy.
So it is
It's
not
very complex.
brand centric team is not there. You have a pool of
Yeah.
talent which are used for multiple brands, trained
Yes, we have
accordingly.
to manage them. Yeah.
Mm.
So
You
we
know,
have like a lot of factors where we like have to manage the uniforms of that airline. We are not even managing the counters, but the uniform, because uniform plays a very
I
grooming
didn't. I didn't.
inspectors are there. So grooming inspectors basically keep an eye that the grooming standards are met. Ma'am,
Oh,
I'll give a very simple example.
oh,
Nowadays, these youngsters are fond of tattoos,
oh,
right? But
okay.
there are airlines which say that if you wear my uniform, not the slightest of tattoo should be visible.
Oh,
But if
okay.
the person is having a tattoo here, he can't get a job in that particular
Right.
airline.
Interesting. Okay. Ah,
So
okay.
we have a lot of airline standards which we have to follow apart from the IATA standards.
Good. Very, very interesting. Thank you for sharing
Yeah.
all this. Thank you.
No, no, it's a pleasure.
Yogeshi, you can continue with the conclusion part. Yeah, you can. Yogeshi?
So, madam, shall we conclude?
Yeah, we can conclude. Please go ahead with the conclusion part.
We had a great discussion today. Had a session from Mr. Nagesh Namjoshi on railway services, followed by Kapil Naresh ji, who logged in from Dubai and conveyed what goes on in airlines service area and educated us a lot. Followed by a panel discussion where Rama Madam and Nagesh ji and Kapil ji contributed to how this sector and how this service area can be improved. Some standards that can be laid up. Adam contributed how BIs can be brought in to develop some kind of service standards for railways, and I'm hopeful that we can take something forward and we'll take some help of Nagesh in the process. Whenever Kapilji travels to India, I hope that we try to at least chat up and meet
Yes,
if
sir, sure.
possible and interact more. Let's say
My pleasure,
once a
sir.
quarter, once in 6 months, and take it forward. I, on behalf
Thank you
of
so much, sir.
Management System Consultant Consortium, All India, Chennai Consortium, Consultant Consortium, Chennai, the support staff of Chennai Consortium, Aarti Madam, and all others who must be behind this organization who helped us organize this webinar. I thank all of them. I thank the speakers who came on such a short notice of just a day or two to organize this successfully. We welcome you to be part of our family in future also. Thanks a lot.
We
Thank you,
couldn't
sir.
reach out
Thank you, ma'am.
earlier. Thank you so much for this.
No
We
problem.
couldn't reach
Thank you.
out earlier because we're trying to establish contacts with this network. We will try to extend
Yeah,
this network and then try to create conversations. Very valuable insights. Actually, this recording when it gets shared, it is going to benefit many immensely. Lot of
it's a
key
pleasure.
takeaways, and I must thank both of you and Yogesh for taking
Thank
these
you.
efforts to reach out through his network. Thank you so much, Nageshi, and thank you,
My special,
Kapilji.
my
Thank you.
special thanks to
Thank you, ma'am.
Yogi.
Thank you.
I had planned to leave railway work from 1st of January, but you encouraged me to continue it.
No, you're not leaving, sir, because you have to contribute so much.
I had announced it on my social network. that I am not going to continue further. More than 50 years now I did it. Now it is time for me to enjoy my personal life.
We will not trouble you much once in a while, sir. Once in a while. But this
Once I am in the
knowledge.
field, I will not leave railways. मैं सिर्फ एक ही चीज बताना चाहता हूँ कि I told the general manager when he was here that don't think that after some time I will not be there. As a booth, I will be there hanging over some tree at the railway platform.
Great.
But I will not leave you.
Great.
Lovely,
I
sir.
can see that Indore is developed like anything.
Indore, also such a beautiful, clean city. Yogesh, she keeps inviting me all the time. I have never been there.
We are
Such a
proud to
beautiful,
be
clean
cleanest
city.
city of India.
It is. No, it
Yeah.
is actually
I-
our
I am
contribution.
proud because I am here only because of this city.
Okay,
I
okay.
owe everything to her.
That's a beautiful one. And that is what it is. See, and that's always shown as a role model when it comes to cleanliness index in the country.
Hmm.
And so many things go to really achieve that status. It is not easy. So community participation is also critical. Maybe in Indore, your railway board can really contribute towards improvement on this. Maybe contribute, come forward and do it. See, one thing I can say here is there is a railway passengers association. That is why Yogeshi was able to reach out.
Yes.
How much
yes.
I have struggled to get. We had an air passengers association from Chennai. Mr. Sudhakar Reddy is a very prominent person, voice of air passengers. He passed away during COVID and it was shut down. After that, there's no voice. There's only one association. I could lay my hands in Delhi. Country needs more airlines passengers
Hmm.
associations. Then only the voice can be captured correctly. There is no representative platform. Today, railway passengers associations are there, and Yogeshi was able to reach out, and then we're able to
The railway officials don't want me on the committee.
improvements. When we are asking for improvements, it always happens, sir. At the end of the day, you're a public sector organization, and
It is just because of Mrs. Sumitra Mahajan that I could challenge them on all counts.
social responsibility, sir, for all of us to contribute to some small conversations like this. We're trying our best to bring some improvements. That's all it is.
I will try to give a note to Mr. Yogesh
Yes, yes, sir.
on
Thank
all
you, sir.
these things.
Thank you so much.
How we
Thank
can
you.
do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
to
Thanks a
the
lot.
audience. Also.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you.
Thank
Kapilji.
you.
Thank
Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
Nagesh sir, madam.
Thank you. Bye.
Wow. Signing off.